Hi everyone, I'm meteorologist Rusty Dawkins, and a little bit of an interesting thing has happened. A lot of the city has lost power, including our studio for KNOP. So what does that mean? It means we don't have any news. It also means you are going to get me live for the next 20, maybe 30 minutes. We'll see how long I can go. But what we are looking at right now is a live shot at the storm that just rolled through North Platte. Now there's still a lot of rain, a lot of heavy rain, a lot of hail, a lot of lightning, which hopefully we'll see. I think we just saw a bolt of lightning there just a little bit ago. There's some right there. So a lot of, still a severe thunderstorm watch in place until midnight, and that has been extended. It does include a couple of new counties. It includes Frontier, Gosper, and Phelps County, and that goes until midnight. So here's what's going on right now.
All right, hi Shireen. Yeah, that's right. We're just outside of our studio right now. It is pitch black. Yep. Now power did go out around 8:40, and as you can see behind us, Little Caesars is obviously running on a generator. There are no lights down this street and a lot of down power lines and trees. Yep. You actually went out today and saw everything.
Yeah, I got out right as the power was going out, right around 9 o'clock. Drove down the street, and as soon as I turned the corner, there were several power lines down along D Street and right by Sycamore, and water all into people's yards, at least 6 inches deep. Hard to drive through for lower riding vehicles. A lot of people out in their yards already trying to collect debris and clear out drainage ditches, trying to get some of that water out of their yards. And as you can see right here behind me, like Megan mentioned, at E and Dewey, the stoplight is still out. There is no stoplight. People driving through, and remind drivers to be very cautious right now driving around. Go a little bit slower than usual, not a lot of lights, but I did see there were a lot of lights down on the south end of town towards the mall, towards Nebraska Land National Bank in that area. They did have power and stoplights, but as Tom was telling me, that it's pretty dark when you go up on the north end of town.
Yes, it is pretty dark. We have also heard reports that the south side is starting to get back power. We do not know when power will come back on in this area on the north side of town, but we have heard that power is out. We've gotten a lot of phone calls from you today about power being out, and so we just want you to be very cautious when you're outside. Rusty was actually doing cut-ins today when this storm came, and we're going to send it to him to see if we're in the clear now.
Yeah, Megan and Ethan, stay safe out there first and foremost, and everybody else as well. There's been kind of a lull now. Now the storm is moving to the south. Frontier County here still under a severe thunderstorm warning until 10:30. That's the only county under a warning right now, but this has been slowly progressing to the south. Severe thunderstorm watch goes until midnight, but obviously this is going to be out of here before that's all said and done. But we'll do a couple of stops here and show you exactly what's going on. First, wide view. Notice it's the only thing going on right now. We'll zoom in, and you can see that from Curtis to about Cozad and then just west of Elmwood here, the storm is moving quickly to the south, about 30 to 35 miles per hour. But this right down here, just west of Stockville, just south of Curtis, purple showing up, that is indicative of some large hail. So we're going to keep a close eye on this as it moves to the south and southeast, headed towards Cambridge and maybe even Arapahoe. So severe thunderstorm warning until 10:30. Some large hail going to be continuing as we head through the next I would say half hour to 45 minutes, but it will progressively move to the south. So something we'll be keeping a close eye on, that severe thunderstorm watch until midnight.
All right, thank you very much. I'm at Vine and Phillip here in North Platte, where it's kind of the same story across the city, is that some of the streets are underwater. The area where I was at is starting to clear up now. There's actually a fire truck and some firefighters here blocking off a portion of the road. They left just about 15-20 minutes ago as the water begins to recede. But again, I was on Rodeo Road earlier tonight where there was a tree down blocking half of the road there. There was a man with a chainsaw trying to clear that debris. But the problem on the north side of town is that much of the power has been out since about 7:30, 8 o'clock this evening. Also, first responders, you can hear the sirens in that. They're obviously responding to a lot of calls, a lot of people calling 911 for different emergencies around town. We've heard of reports that people are making of a couple of structure fires, down power lines. So best advice, stay home and keep an eye on the news. Shireen?
Welcome back. Now, our studio still does not have power. We lost power around 8:40, excuse me.
Yep.
Most areas of the city do not have power still. You talked to Light and Municipal Water. What did they have to say?
Well, they said they had a more than usual crews out working to try to get all these down power lines down. They didn't know how many power lines were down exactly, but there were multiple, a lot. And they also said they didn't know when the power would return. They had no way of knowing, but most of the town is without power. And we'll keep you updated as we get information on that as well. Now, out at the airport, they saw 3/4 of an inch of rain in just half an hour. And according to the National Weather Service report, Wellfleet, the storm's over that right now. They're getting quarter-sized hail and 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Hershey saw golf ball-sized hail. And here in North Platte, we got 65-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So a lot of wind, a lot of rain, and a lot of hail. And that storm was moving rather quickly. It came through here, it seemed, about in 25 to 30 minutes and moved on its way. But it did a lot of damage and in a short period of time. Again, a lot of power lines still down, still without power here, as going on almost 2 hours. So we'll still keep you updated as we get information from your municipal light and water when the power could turn back on.
Right, and we do have reporters, team coverage out around the city for you, making sure that everyone is still staying safe and power is still out, like you said, around the whole area. And pitch black over here, guys. I mean, you can't see anything.
Yeah, we've got lights on. We've got car headlights on as well, shining over here, just doing everything we can to get lit up as our studio is in pitch black. We have reporters in the field, like you said, still seeing multiple tree lines down, and the water on the road, I don't know if you could see it, but earlier the water on the road, at least 6 inches of water was back there. Now it seemed to be cleared up. Drivers getting by, not just on the middle lane like they were earlier. So it's still cleared up a little bit around the station as well. So hopefully it'll keep clearing off, but we'll get some of that debris hopefully cleared up as well. But still be aware of the downed trees and downed power lines. Drive very cautiously out there.
Now we're going to send it over to Adam Uhernick, who is also out in the streets right now. Hey, Adam.
Well, I'm at Vine and Phillip, where things have settled down tremendously. From just about 45 minutes ago, there was a fire truck here blocking the road because there was actually, the street was underwater. The great majority of the street was underwater. I was on the north side of town at my house at about 8:30 when all of this started. And wow, talk about some damage. There's a lot of debris in the street in that area. Trees down, and I actually saw my barbecue grill flip end over end because the winds were so strong there in my backyard. I could see the rain and the hail coming down and kind of swirling in the backyard there for a little bit. Also on my fence, there are screws about that big that literally were ripped out of the fence and ripped the gate away from the fence there. So I also have some cleanup to do in the coming days, but talk about some of the high winds, and now a lot of my neighbors are saying the same thing. And actually 2 blocks down from me, there was a neighbor that showed me a picture. A tree went right through the window of his mobile home there. So a lot of people saying on Facebook that their flagpoles snapped right in half. So a lot of damage, a lot of down power lines still. Stay safe out there.
In the severe thunderstorm that swept through several areas in western Nebraska, including Lincoln County, and now many people are without power, including our sister station KNOP in North Platte. That's where we find NBC Nebraska's Jacqueline Olson and Tom Clements this morning. They're live with an update on the storm damage in North Platte.
Good morning, Josh. Yeah, we are live outside of our studio. We are currently experiencing a power outage as much of North Platte is. We called Municipal Light and Water, and about 400 calls plus have been flooding their services, reporting outages and down lines. But Tom, tell me more about these extensive storms we got last night.
We really started seeing them roll in around 7:30 in the greater North Platte area, and we did see some very heavy rainfall associated with these storms that did roll in through. Now, from the time of 8:15 to 9:25, we're looking at an estimated rainfall about 1.38 inches in some isolated areas. Now compare that to the airport, only reporting just over 3/4 of an inch. But along with these heavy rainfalls, we also saw the wind. And the wind is really something that a lot of people are going to be noticing when they wake up this morning as far as the damages go. We saw wind gusts in excess of 70 miles per hour throughout North Platte, really bringing down those branches, bending flagpoles in some areas, and also bringing in some very interesting driving conditions for our friends this morning. You're going to be dodging some pretty, shall we say, large branches out there. But what is some of the other extents of the damages that we've seen?
We have seen extensive damage in Cody Park. The video you are about to see is of a downed tree on a power line. It hit the power line, and the power went out in that area. When the power went back on about 3 a.m. in that area, sparks were flying on that tree that did actually start on fire, but the fire crews were able to get it under control. It is now out. It was not a big deal. And you are also going to see flooding video. We had a lot of flooding in our area, and the power is out among much of the downtown area, but we do have some areas that do have power. We're talking the southeast sides and west sides of North Platte currently do have power. Now, when you come across a stop light that is out of power, you want to treat that as if it is a stop sign. Some of those stop lights do have temporary stop signs, but the ones that don't, just treat it as a normal stop sign. Remember, the person on your right does go first. We want to avoid as many accidents as possible. And while you're out commuting this morning, if you do see a down power line or flooded streets, do call Municipal Light and Water and report those. Do not assume that it was already reported by somebody else, and remember, do not touch those lines. They could be live, and we do not want anyone getting hurt. Now be safe out there as you commute. Back to you, Josh.
Welcome back to NBC Nebraska today. A severe thunderstorm swept through several areas in western Nebraska, including Lincoln County. Many people are still without power, including our sister station KNOP in North Platte. And that's where we find NBC Nebraska's Jacqueline Olson and Tom Clements. They're live for us this morning with an update on the storm damage.
Good morning, Josh. Yeah, we are experiencing a power outage, as is much of North Platte. Now, we spoke to North Platte Police Sergeant Jeff Hoagland, who says you may see some downed lines on your commute to work this morning.
You know, when the sun starts to rise, the storm damage is just going to become all the more apparent. So if you do see any down power lines, it's important that you don't get near them, you don't drive over them, and also, most importantly, don't assume that it's already been reported. Call that into Municipal Light and Water. And if they're not available, you can also call that in to the local police department, and just be safe out there as you're going about your morning commute.
Absolutely. And while you're going about your commute, some stop lights are actually not working throughout town. Now, Sergeant Hoagland says treat those as if they're a stop sign. Now, some temporary stop signs have been placed at some intersections, but for those that have not have temporary stop lines, you must treat those with extreme caution. Make sure that you look in all directions, and remember, the people on your right do have the right of way. Now, we do not know as of yet when Municipal Light and Water will say it's a go when all of North Platte does have electricity, but right now we do know the southeast part of town does have electric, and so does the west part. We will keep you updated as more information becomes available. Josh, back to you.
Live from our new studios in downtown North Platte, NBC Nebraska News 2 Midday starts now.
Severe damage from the storm that passed through overnight, winds reaching up to 70 miles per hour. We've got a recap of the damage and when exactly your power will be restored. That's our top story on NBC Nebraska News 2 Midday. I'm Amy Kaufman filling in for Jackie Harms. We start this morning off with team coverage as we bring you the most up-to-date information on the storm and power outages. Jacqueline Olson joins us live from Chestnut Street. She tells us some still don't have power there. Jacqueline?
Amy, I'm live on Chestnut, where residents still don't have power. Now, Municipal Light and Water tell me that roughly they estimate 15,000 people were affected by this storm. Now, Cindy Huntsman with Municipal Light and Water says she has more than 200 reports of down lines. Now, power crews are working as fast as they can to restore power all throughout town. Huntsman says crews are working on priority lines first, then moving inward to the down lines throughout the neighborhoods.
Live from our new studios in downtown North Platte, NBC Nebraska News 2 at 6 starts
All of a sudden
now.
I heard this big bang.
It's a storm that produced winds 50 to 70 miles an hour.
I've lived here for 25 years and I've not seen that much tree damage.
Trees and power lines down throughout the city, and some still without power.
And getting by in the Stone Age here without electricity. It's something you really take for granted.
But today, the city of North Platte is cleaning up.
Tree branches are over there. That tree we didn't notice last night fell down.
Tonight, we have reporters out in the field keeping you informed on what's next for North Platte.
It's our top story on NBC Nebraska News 2 at 6. Good evening, I'm Kent Winder.
And I'm Megan Bragg. We have team coverage tonight on the storm that hit North Platte around 8:30 p.m. Thursday.
Many parts of the city went dark and some still are without power. We start you off tonight on the northwest side of town where some are still picking up the pieces. Ethan Harrington is live there now. Ethan?
Megan and Kent, driving around North Platte today, you'd be hard-pressed not to find something like this. A massive tree branch or debris all over town. Now, this particular tree branch, I'm told by a private lawn service, 35 feet tall, can weigh up to 2,000 pounds. As you can see to my right, there's a lot of debris that spilled over on the roadway. Again, you'll see a lot of this all over town. We've seen tree branches this size on people's rooftops, and also that came clambering down on power lines. Now, the city is out working to cut down on these branches and get things looking a little bit like normal again. But if you do have debris in your lawn or branches like this, you can take the limbs to the city landfill or to the southeast corner lot of Walker Road and Buffalo Bill Avenue free of charge due to storm damage, and that will remain in effect until Saturday, August 22nd. Megan, back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Ethan. Last night, damage took a toll on many homes throughout the city, but businesses are also cleaning up, and one that was hit hard was the Depot. We continue our team coverage with the reporter, Beatrice Reyna. She is there live, and Beatrice, they actually had to open up a little later today, correct?
That's right, Megan. The Depot had to delay lunch for about 4 hours this morning because the damage was so significant. But the one area that received the most damage was the roof.
After a rough night last night, it was much quieter today. Hot, but quiet.
Right now, will it stay quiet tonight? Meteorologist Rusty Dawkins joins us from the Weather Center. Rusty?
It's always nice to have 12 to 24 hours of cleanup time after something like we had last night. And here's the storm reports. Notice the line. It's almost directly north to south. And there were about 18 total reports of hail, wind gusts, and wind damage. So not a lot, but what reports there were rather significant. And goodness, when you're out of power for a good portion of a 24-hour period, it's hard on people.
All right, thanks, Rusty. And here is a recap on the numbers we're getting on the power outage. Over the night, Municipal Light and Water took over 400 calls of reported power outages. The main areas affected in North Platte were the north and southwest parts of town. They roughly estimate 10,000 people were affected by the storm. Cindy Huntsman with Municipal Light and Water says she has 200 to 500 reports of down lines, and those are just the lines reported. She tells us people are still without power today, mostly on the southwest part of town. Now, they are still unsure when that power will get back on. We will be following this story and keeping you updated as more information becomes available. And many of you tell us that you called Municipal Light and Water last night but got no answer.
That's right. Now, that's because Municipal Light and Water also fell victim to the storm, which is why some people had trouble getting through on their phones to report power outages. Nearly all of North Platte was in the dark. The city says utility crews were battling down power lines and trees that fell into power lines, causing the power to go out. Some areas of the city had power all night. Well, sparking down power poles also had the North Platte Fire Department busy. They started accepting calls for help last night around 8 and didn't stop until this morning.
They were up all night handling problems from fallen trees to medical trips. Continuing our team coverage, Travis Robinson spoke with firefighters that were on the scene last night.
During Thursday night's storm, the fire department in North Platte went to over 60 calls. The calls began around 8:30 and kept coming until 8:30 Friday morning.
Thanks, Travis. And to make a plan for the next storm, you can head to our web channel, knopnews2.com, for more information on how to prepare for these storms. We wanted to share this video from Dan Ridgway from North Platte. This is near D Street on Sycamore and Willow, and it looks like a transformer blew up.
Yeah, that's an amazing video right there. And we also had many of you commenting on our Facebook page as well. Gladys says, what a storm that was.
And Tammy says, saw a number of pictures where trampolines didn't fare so well last night. And to join the conversation, download our news app.
Welcome back. Last night's storm shook the ground so hard it uprooted 15 trees at the North Platte Cemetery.
And damages are being assessed right now by the cemetery supervisor, and he says it's going to take a homeowner's insurance claim to get it fixed. Shelby Brunk was at the cemetery to find out how extensive this damage was. Shelby?
At the North Platte Cemetery, many plant their family roots here. But these trees have been uprooted.
Now, this is just one of the 15 trees that have been rooted here at the North Platte Cemetery due to last night's storm.
All right, thanks, Shelby. And Minshall wants drivers to also be aware of the storm damages. A fallen tree was hanging over the side of the cemetery on the Buffalo Bill, causing traffic to be delayed momentarily.